Whether it's bad planning, bad luck, bad timing, or bad inventions, well-intentioned bad decisions have plagued history for thousands of years. Welcome to Historic Hindsight. Hello and welcome to another episode of Historic Hindsight. I'm John, that's Tom, and today we're going to talk to you about Diet Coke.
Diet Coke. Well, yeah, Diet Coke. Our episode today is the first Cola Wars, Johnny, the diet years. Not to be confused with the second Cola Wars, which is what we kind of grew up with in the 80s and the 90s with, know, Michael Jordan and Michael Jackson and all them doing ads for Coke and Pepsi and all that.
Mostly stuff. Pepsi, because Pepsi was trying to catch up to Coke, so they came out with like the Crystal Pepsi and all these other little gimmicky
all things. All that other garbage. You'll notice that I'm surrounded by props today. This is my smorgasbord of delectable southernness because my wife is from Arkansas. And when we're doing this episode, we're going to be focusing on a little unknown cola because, believe it or not, in the first Cola Wars, RC Cola was a player.
Well, I mean, Royal Crown, right?
So Royal Crown.
It was the king.
Crown. It was the king of the sodas.
At one point, anyway.
Yeah, and apparently the thing to do in the South is to have moon pies with some RC Cola.
Okay, so what? So I've heard of moon pies. Maybe I've tried one. I don't know.
That's what I was thinking.
What are they?
I might have tried one. I don't know. Well, they are. It looks like wafers with marshmallow in between it, and then like some kind of a. We'll get these out of the way here, so they're just keep a moon pie there, but we'll get the other ones kind of out of the way. I'm going to try each of them individually throughout the show. So I guess I'll start with some RC Cola here. We'll get some ASMR, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, there it is. I ruined it. So moon pies, though, is that a Little Debbie snack?
No, they are their own snack.
So I'm thinking like oatmeal cream pie. I think is probably where I was going with it in my brain.
Yeah, probably. And if you notice the sneak there, there's definitely some rum to be had because let's be honest, I'm sure I'm not going to really like RC Cola as much as I remember. It's been so long since I've had it.
So RC Cola was the cola that my grandparents always had, which maybe I'll learn why it was their cola of choice in this episode. But the only time I ever had it was when I'd go to my grandparents for Thanksgiving or Christmas and they'd have their fridge stocked with it and I was allowed one or two then.
Yeah.
And I remember it just being real bad.
It's not, it's actually, it's kind of like a hybrid of Coke and Pepsi.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's very generic. It's very is a brown soda type taste.
It very much is like if you had Coke that wasn't quite as sweet or Pepsi that wasn't quite as sweet and Coke that wasn't as acidic. That's what you get, a very generic. But you know what? I'm going to have the moon pie here with it.
Or even a little bit flat. Now, the Diet Right, I remember just tasting like brown bubbles.
Yeah, I will try that in a little bit later in the show when we start talking about Diet Right.
You're going to want to mix that with your little Captain Morgan's or whatever rum you have going on back there. I, on the other hand, went with some Orange Whip.
Nice.
Which is a milkshake IPA. I figured a milkshake IPA was kind of the diet IPA of IPAs because I don't know why.
This is way different than I remember it if I ever had one. It's
really
soft. So it's chocolate coated, like vanilla wafers with marshmallow in between. It's not bad.
I guess. I don't know. I was always, for snacks like that, I was always a Little Debbie Cosmic Brownie kid. Yeah. Those were always my favorite. Get one of those in your lunch and golden.
It's not bad. It's probably not worth 100 calories of this little snack.
That's 100 calories. That's the size, the size of like 3 Thin Mints stacked together, which are probably also pretty close to 100 calories. But
yeah, probably. It's not bad. I mean, I can see the Southern appeal to this.
So RC Cola and moon pies, I wonder why there's an obesity problem in the Southern states.
Well, Johnny, we'll get there because there's an answer for that. Believe it or not, in this episode.
Is it the pounds and pounds of sugar that they're putting in their colas to make everybody addicted to them? Well, is that maybe have something to do with it?
Johnny, you're jumping the gun. So
All right. Well, I don't know anything about these cola wars,
Let's get to the punch, right?
so let's figure it out.
So, like I said, this is the first Cola Wars. So this one happens in the '60s primarily, late '50s, early '60s,
Okay.
and it is definitely predates the whole ad campaign between Coke and Pepsi wars that were going on in the '70s, '80s, and '90s.
Right. But there are a lot of
And
established brands at this point. I mean, Coke's been around for a while. Pepsi's
mhm,
around by this time.
yeah,
Obviously, RC Cola was involved in some way. I imagine there were others that didn't survive in any capacity and are now just, you know, historic soda companies.
and Johnny, we're gonna get there about some other ones that didn't go over very well because let me tell you, there are some good names that I found for early sodas.
Yeah.
I'm excited when I get to that point. But in any case, it all starts, with Royal Crown kind of entering the scene with a man named Claude Hatcher. He's the inventor of Royal Crown.
Okay.
He was a pharmacist and grocer and wholesaler that ran the Hatcher Grocery Company in Columbus, Georgia in the early 1900s. So, Coke, I think Coke came out mid 1800s.
I think that, yeah, sounds
Yeah,
right.
and Pepsi was kind of towards the later part of that century. Um, But here we are, the early 1900s. Hatcher became a large distributor of Coca-Cola, specifically their syrup, in his store because he had one of the. And this is the olden time days when your grocery store was a pharmacist, was a soda pop fountain thing.
Yeah, it was everything you needed. Yeah, you could go sit down at an actual counter and get your
Yeah,
fountain soda where they have the carbonated water, a little bit of ice cream in the bottom, a little bit of syrup, and mix it all up. So he had the syrup that you could just buy, and then for stores, or did
well,
you used to mix up
it
your
was
own
for
at
his
home
use in the
too?
store to make the fountain drinks.
Okay.
Okay, and he was a very large distributor of that because his chain, I guess, down in Georgia was really popular. So he got a little bit of a big head here, Johnny, and he thought,
Yeah.
well, listen, I'm pushing out a shit ton of Coke. I should be getting at least a discount on the syrup purchasing from Coca-Cola, right?
Okay.
I mean, because I'm selling so much of it.
Yeah.
Or even better, I should get an extra little bump per sale I sell. Right? I should get a little bit of a kickback from
Like
Coca-Cola
a
for what I'm selling.
commission, if
Like a
you will.
commission, yeah,
Huh.
exactly, like a commission. So Claude got the great idea to go up to his local Coke representative and request a discount on the product or at least a commission, acknowledging just how good of a salesman for Coke he was.
Yeah.
Can you guess what happened here, Johnny?
I'm guessing that Coke said, "This stuff sells itself. No, thank you. Get the hell out of here."
God damn it, Johnny! You hit the nail right on the head.
What a
He was
genius.
denied any kind of compensation, was denied any kind of reduced sale on the syrup because guess what? Coke is pretty much selling itself at this point.
Yeah,
There's
we
not
don't.
a lot of competition in the early 1900s for Coke.
There's a reason you don't hear about door-to-door Coke salesmen like you do vacuum salesmen and stuff like you don't need to have people knocking on their door saying buy it. Like,
Al- Also, Johnny, there was that one secret ingredient that Coke had
what was it?
coming from the name
What was it?
Coca-Cola. Do you know where that name comes from, Johnny? Well,
Was it
half of it's the cocoa bean. The other half of
right?
it half of it's the cocoa plant or coke plant, cocaine, and the other half's the cola bean.
Oh,
So, yeah.
huh.
So there was
So
cocaine
it turns out
in
when you
Coca-Cola.
sell like trace amounts of a highly addictive substance and put it in your drink, people are going to keep buying that drink.
Yeah, you don't need anybody to sell it when it's addictive on its own.
How about that? Who'd have thunk?
Who would have thought, right? So, anyways, this really pissed off Hatcher, and he denied, by being denied any of the compensation, he told Coke representative, listen, I will never, Johnny, never buy another Coke product or sell another Coke product in my stores again. And you know what Coke did? Oh, no.
Say, okay, we'll go ahead and write off this $20 a month on this account, and it's an accounting error at this point. Like, bud, you're not doing anything to us.
And move on, and who gives a shit, right?
And also,
Hatcher
when
would then
everybody starts demanding that you sell Coke products again at your store, or they're going to boycott your store, I'll bet you come back and order some Coke product for them.
Well, yes and no. What happens is he spends the next few months tinkering with his own recipe.
Because
And in
he's a pharmacist.
he's a pharmacist. And in 1905, he introduced his first soda, which is the Royal Crown Ginger Ale. So first off, this jackass creates a soda, but it's a ginger ale. Like, who drinks that
I
garbage?
I literally from the time I was like 7 to 14 thought the only place you could get ginger ale was on a plane. It's the only place I was ever offered it and ever saw it. I had like 3 plane rides and I would drink ginger ale every time. I'm like, well, this must be like a sky specialty thing for the
Was it
air.
good, Johnny?
In the air, I guess it was fine. Like I don't know. It's not
It's like a
good.
generic Sprite or something. Is it? I
It's
can't. I don't. You know what? I don't even know if I've ever had ginger ale.
it's a little bit like if you took just carbonated water and added like a splash of a soda in it. It's very almost watered down. I don't know. It's very bubbly, super bubbly. So
I better be good with vodka.
that could be the only reason they or the
Gin.
reason they push it in airplanes so much because your taste buds change and everything's blander and everything else. So it's not good.
Yeah, we'll have to
It
look
doesn't
into that.
matter.
Yeah. But in any case, the drink did become popular within this region of Georgia, probably because it was the only option in his stores.
Yeah, and when your main distributor just starts putting a thing in stores, guess what? That's what people buy.
Pretty much.
Shocking.
By the end of 1905, however, it was so successful that Hatcher decided to ditch the whole grocery store thing, sold that off, and opened up his own bottling factory called the Union Bottling Company. So at this point, he
In
was
Georgia?
What?
In Georgia?
Yeah, in Georgia, the Union Bottling Company.
Probably should have gone with Confederate. Would have been more successful.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, you're right. It probably would have been a little bit more successful. Oh, well. But anyways, they offered Royal Crown Ginger Ale, Royal Crown Strawberry, and Royal Crown Root Beer. I might get down with a root beer. I like myself a good root beer from
You know what? I'm not mad at strawberry soda either. Strawberry and grape.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
mad at it.
I do like me some grape soda. So anyways, this is kind of the start of his fame, but it really kicks off when he comes out with the invention Chero Cola. That puts him on the national spotlight and actually gets him in direct competition with Coca-Cola. And by direct competition, I mean they're now on the map. It's being sold nationwide, but it's not like it's taking any substantial sales away.
Right, kind of how Sierra Nevada Brewing Company is competition for Budweiser.
Yeah.
Like they're cutting into 0.5% of their yearly profits, and Budweiser's like, wait a minute, that's weird. All right, let's go ahead and try to stamp them out or buy them.
Exactly. Although I'm going to pause for 1 second. This is not bad when you throw some rum in it.
I mean, I guess most things, if you like rum, it makes most things better. And if you don't like rum, you keep drinking it, and eventually it gets better.
You're gonna like it. Yeah, you are. By 1910, Chero Cola became so popular that the Union Bottling Company changed their name to the Chero Cola Bottling Company.
So is that a cherry cola?
It's a cherry cola. Okay. It is.
Is this the first one?
You know what? I do not know if it was before Cherry Coke. I think it probably was because I don't think Coke started messing with a lot of that other alternative recipes until much later on, and it's a whole new Coke career thing.
Yeah, well, and at this time, if you wanted a cherry soda, you would go get a cherry fountain soda like that.
Yeah, you would go get Coca-Cola and have it at have the Mad Cherry at the fountain. Yeah. But there's a little bit of a problem here, Johnny, in that there was a lot of people who were copywriting Coca-Cola's product and just creating, generic, either crappy colas.
Imitating, not copywriting.
Imitating them. Or there were some that were outright just taking the syrup and trying to rebrand it as theirs.
Oh.
So.
New label.
And some of these names were quite inspiring. There was a Candy Cola.
Oh,
there was a Coke-Ola, which was literally just we copied your whole recipe.
I mean, that's like that's back in the day China now. Like that's what China does now with their products is you don't get like a Land Rover, you get like a Land Roamer or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. there was Cos-Cola, and my favorite because of how funny it is, not because of any other connotation, Cluco-Cola.
Cluco-Cola?
Yeah, Cluco-Cola, which began marketed after the 1950 movie release, The Birth of a Nation, which was a shit ton of KKK propaganda. So the KKK had their own soda called the Cluco-Cola.
Oh, man. And they thought, they thought they were gonna end up taking over everything with that. I imagine they're like, if everything goes according to plan and the KKK takes over, they have their drink already that they can start forcing on the distribution to everybody, and they win this war just based on their name alone. What could possibly go wrong, civil rights movement, that would ruin their chances of being the best cola out there?
I'm switching over to some banana moon pies here.
Banana?
I was told banana was the best.
I don't know. I
I was
mean,
told it
if
was
it's
best.
just marshmallow and soft wafer, I guess, but
Mm.
just like, is it like Runts banana or is it like actual banana?
Have you ever had banana pudding
Yeah, I
with the
mean,
vanilla wafers?
yeah, I've not enjoyed it ever.
It's like a banana pudding.
Oh, that sounds just awful. Okay.
It's very bland.
Well, I think I'm
Anyways,
going to be avoiding moon pies because it looks like a crappy version of like the Swiss rolls or whatever.
kind of, but there's marshmallow in it. It's like a
Yeah, and I'm
it's
not
like
a
a peep.
marshmallow guy.
It's like a chocolate covered peep, kind of.
Oh, no, thank you. Peeps can get bent. Like, why are they still making them?
Because my daughter eats them.
No, it's terrible. The only good thing you can do with a peep is put it in the microwave and watch it explode. That's it.
If you leave it in too long, it will catch fire, though. So be warned, viewers at home.
Use
Do
an
not
old
put-
microwave.
Do not put the peep in for more than 5 minutes. It will
5
explode and
minutes?
catch fire.
Who's putting a peep in for 5 minutes? You
I
put
did.
it
I
in for
wanted
like
to see what
30
happened.
seconds and it gets like 3 times its size.
Yeah, but there's a point where it gets so large that it implodes and then catches fire.
I mean, well, yeah. Don't do it 5 minutes then. Use
So-
a shred of common sense.
How do you think Coke handled the whole Clue Coca-Cola thing, Johnny? Do you think they were like, nah, okay, whatever? What do you think they're like? Yeah, you can't do that, and we're going to sue you into oblivion.
Do they sue people? I was gonna guess that they sent a bunch of mercenaries after him or something, given the time period.
No, they just sued him into oblivion. They actually, in this time period, had more than 500 lawsuits against manufacturers, including Chero Cola. So, including the whole
Oh my
what would
god!
become Royal Crown Cola, they sued him all into oblivion. Coke argued that specifically to Chero Cola that they could not use the name Cola because, well, Coca-Cola, we copyrighted that shit.
Oh,
They didn't.
yeah. Well, but guess what, Tommy? When you're a huge corporation with tons of lawyers and have enough money to have 500 ongoing lawsuits, you don't have to win them. You just have to make the other person go bankrupt so they can't win it against you.
Yep. But by this time, Johnny, Chero Cola had actually entered they were basically third in the whole cola company. There was first Coca-Cola, second Pepsi Cola, which was their name at the time, Pepsi Cola. So this is
Yeah.
where the lawsuit gets a little confusing because if you're going to sue Chero Cola because of the name Cola, why didn't you sue Pepsi?
Well, Pepsi has lawyers and money like Coca-Cola did. And so
They
they're
did.
like, maybe we don't want to dive down that rabbit hole, but we can just bankrupt this other guy with their lawyers and,
Pretty
and
much.
make them stop. Like,
Because there were at this time, Johnny, there were 700 franchise bottlers for Chero Cola, so they weren't a small time. I mean, they were a legitimate.
no, that's
nationwide-
huge. Yeah,
they're good, especially in 1920s.
no kidding.
It's pretty good. In 1923, however, Coca-Cola won the lawsuit, and lawyers said, or the judges said that, yep, you cannot use the name Cola in your product. So Chero Cola had to ditch the name Cola and just became Chero. And, well, that doesn't have the same ring to it, does it, Johnny? Chero. I'm going to go get a Chero.
I mean, it sounds like
Sounds
a
like
churro,
you're going to get a Mexican horse or something.
or like a
Chero.
or a churro, like a Mexican breaded treat. But yeah, something from across the border, no doubt.
Yeah, it doesn't sound right. So they lost a crap ton of name recognition. They lost a crap ton of their sales.
But you said they
Hatcher
didn't actually have it copyrighted.
No, they did. Yeah, this wasn't.
How much money do you think that those people who ruled on that got from Coca-Cola?
Oh,
like,
oh,
they're just like,
Johnny,
all right,
'cause-
listen, this is some bullshit. Like, we want them gone. We'll give you, I don't know, $400, whatever a lot of money was back then.
$400 was a substantial amount of money.
Yeah,
back
so there
then.
you go. We'll give you $400 and just put them out of business.
And that's pretty much exactly what happened, Johnny. Hatcher wound up renaming his company to Nehi, which is Nehi, which was named after their most popular fruit drink. So this is kind of Fanta before Fanta.
So he went from like So he was going to be forced into a kind of faux Mexican name, and instead went with like a faux
His
Japanese
next best
sounding name.
selling, yeah, his next best selling soda,
Well,
which was
now it sounds like a
Nihai.
Japanese product though, and
I know. And in the 1920s, anything sounding Asian Oriental is probably not the best.
no, yeah, anything different or foreign is not going to be
But
liked.
Johnny, do you know what also happened in the late 20s, early 30s?
A lot of flappers, swing dance, I think, jazz clubs.
Yep, yep.
Um,
There was a thing
pro.
about finances. Do you remember that one?
Oh shoot, is that kind of what we're doing now with that whole? I don't know,
Great
the big
Depression,
Great
Johnny?
Depression. Well, wasn't that after the crash in 1929 though?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm saying
So
late
okay, so
20s, early 30s. We
yeah,
have the Great Depression,
so there you go, that little thing.
which destroys pretty much every major company in the United States, including poor little old Nihai, who was on the verge of bankruptcy when actually Hatcher would wind up dying. Um, the company would be turned over to his two sons,
How
who,
shitty would that be? Like you grow up your whole life with your father's super successful company, and then he dies and he drops this company in your lap, and you find out, oh shit, like now
with
we're just broke.
the Great Depression, and we're damn near
Yeah.
bankrupt.
Now nobody can buy our product, so it's not moving anywhere, and we can't afford to pay anybody. We just have to shut down now and now deal with all of this debt nonsense.
Yeah, exactly. But they
Ugh.
did the right thing. These kids did the right thing, and they turned it over to the head of sales, who was H.R. Mott, who was actually a very shrewd businessman who wound up turning this company around completely. So what
Kept
he
it
does,
going?
first off, he ditches any ill-performing drink. So basically, if the drink's not selling, why are we making the damn thing? Get rid of it.
You don't have room for options at this point. It's you got to just put out your number one sellers.
He ditched the cherry flavor from the Chero Cola and just rebranded it Royal Crown. So that's where
Huh?
Royal Crown comes into play.
All
They're
right,
now officially in existence.
got rid of the cherry in it, which is good because I know it's a super popular thing and everybody loves cherry drinks and cherry Coke and everything. Cherry's got to be my least favorite of the artificial flavors.
Um, I like it, but I don't like it like I'm never going to only drink cherry Coke.
Yeah, I like it. That's gonna be my last drink of choice. It's just too sweet for me. I don't like the cherry flavor. I'm an orange, lemony, citrus flavor, artificial flavor guy.
I'm definitely an artificial grape guy.
Oh, I can do grape all day. Yeah.
Yep. With Royal Crown as a flagship, sales increased tenfold, and HR went back to Coca-Cola and won a lawsuit in 1944 that the federal court said, yeah, Coke, you don't own the name Cola. You can't own the name Cola. You can't copyright the name Cola. It's a reference to a plant. It's in everything.
It's like when Ohio State tried to copyright the or trademark the
or
for
whatever
the
it was,
Ohio
yeah.
State University.
You can't.
Like, no, you.
Not to mention, they looked over and said, hey, look, your biggest competitor, Pepsi. Yeah, what's their name? Cola. Shut up, jackasses.
It only took a couple decades for people to be like, so maybe they have to actually have a copyright, and maybe we don't give copyrights for just generically termed things.
Right. So Royal Crown instantly became Royal Crown Soda. Fuck you, Coca-Cola, because we're now Royal Crown, and we're delicious in the South.
Oh, yeah.
All you crazy Southerners with your crazy Southern. I'm really kind of disappointed in this whole moon pie Royal Crown thing. And I want to say that I'm not looking forward to having to try peanuts and Coca-Cola when we do the second Cola War, because apparently that's a big thing in the South, and I will make it myself do that.
Having just peanuts with Coke?
No, they throw peanuts in the bottle of Coca-Cola.
Oh, in it?
Yeah, in it.
Oh, no. Like I thought you were just talking about like washing down peanuts with a Coke. I'm like, why is that weird? Peanuts.
No. I mean, they throw the peanuts in the Coke. These are the crazy things that my Confederate wife grew up with, I guess.
It's just adding salt to it.
Yeah.
It's just making it less healthy. It's like, you know what? There's a ton of sugar in here, not enough sodium. Let's up the sodium so that I can die by the time I'm 48.
Yeah, exactly. So Royal Crown does what Pepsi winds up doing in the late 70s, early 80s, and through 90s, and they throw a shit ton of money into advertisements. Not only do they get some good ad revenue through magazines and newspapers and all that stuff at the time, but they get none other than Shirley Temple and Lucille Ball to support them on their shows. So
how do they lose anything with that?
I know, right? Because it doesn't mean anything to us growing up now, but like talk to your grandma about how big Lucille Ball and Shirley Temple were. Jesus Christ!
Well, here's the thing about how big they were. People today have still heard of them.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Most of the people who are like, "Oh, that's a big name," or some like random jazz singer or whatever the hell that nobody cares about anymore, nobody's ever heard of, but it's like, they were big at the time. Pitbull's gonna be that, but like,
you think people are gonna talk about Pitbull in 50 years?
What? No, I don't think they will.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I was about to say, there's no way
everybody
talk about
Pitbull now, but like our grandkids are gonna be like, who the hell is Pitbull? But like Shirley Temple, Lucille Ball, like,
and they'll still know Shirley Temple and Lucille Ball. They'll still be there. Yep.
Yeah, it's still a name.
Yep. But no matter what they did, they could never really get out of that number 3 spot. They even introduced what was called taste testing audiences and ad campaigns. So they were the ones that started that whole like blind taste testing, which one tastes better. And somehow, Johnny, this company that came up with this idea for taste testing always won the taste testing ads.
What?
Weird.
Every time?
Every time.
That's so strange.
So either Royal Crown is the absolute best soda.
That's what the ads tell us.
It isn't.
What?
I'll tell you from drinking it right now. It isn't.
But the taste test, Tom.
Or they manipulated those tests.
You can't just manipulate a scientific study, Tom. There are laws against that.
Well, Johnny, wait till you hear about how this whole war ends, because I cannot wait about manipulating studies. But even with all of that, they muscled their way into soda fountains at restaurants, and by 1954, they became the first soda company to distribute their product in aluminum cans. So they're to thank for the whole aluminum can craze.
Yeah.
They also introduced the first 16-ounce soda bottles.
Oh, so starting to supersize it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're already starting that diabetic trend, supersizing that shit.
There we go.
We
talked about that, but what, 16 ounce you said? I go to the gas station every day and get like a 44-ounce Diet Coke.
Yeah, 16 is no longer a large, but hey, this is 1954, Johnny. 16 is huge.
It's fun. Even bottles. Like if you want a 16-ounce bottle, you have to downgrade from the 20-ounce bottle. It's like you have to get like a special edition, smaller bottle to get 16 ounces out of it.
It is funny looking back at this whole Coke war, soda war kind of stuff, because like that specifically, like 20 ounces is the standard now if you want a bottle. It used to be like 8. The Coke used to come in 8-ounce bottles.
8 ounces, which, oh my God, I used to think it was such a cool thing when they like brought those back and sold them, and then I'd get them home and I'd put them in the fridge and I'd have to wait for it to cool down, and I'd open it up and I'd take 2 drinks and it's gone. And I'm like, this was like $7 for 6 of these bottles. Like, what the hell?
Go to Mexico, Johnny, because they still do 12-ounce glass bottles, and they are using real sugar down in Mexico, because Mexico never caught on to that whole corn syrup craze thing. So,
I drink exclusively Diet Coke for my soda, so I'm not drinking any of that terrible sugar stuff. I'm just injecting my body with pure poisonous aspartame. That's all. So I'm fine. Like, it's good for you, really.
Yeah, it is good for you. It is certainly good for you. By 1959, Nehi, the company, changed their name to Royal Crown Cola Company because, that's your flagship. Why wouldn't you name your soda after the flagship?
Yeah. You try to make it like a Kleenex when people order that. Want a Kleenex, they say Kleenex, not a tissue. You try to.
Or when I want a soda, I call it a Coke.
Yeah, a Diet Coke. But to be fair, I am specifically asking for a Diet Coke. Like if I ask for a Diet Coke and they're like, "Is Pepsi okay?" I'm like, "No, it's not," because I don't.
When I go into stores and I ask for a Coke, I really don't give a shit. Just give me any brown sugary beverage.
No,
except if they came. I would probably be a little disgruntled if they came at me with an RC Cola.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like you say that, but you're getting Coke or Pepsi, and so you're fine with that.
Throw in RC Cola. Yeah, maybe not so much. But even with all their success, Johnny, they couldn't break out of that 3rd spot. nothing they did got them any kind of they innovated so much, but they could not break out of number 3. And let's be honest, they never were going to break out of number 3.
So
But
why is that just a longevity thing? Is it just because Coke and Pepsi were around so long
I
before
just
that they
I
just became household
Well,
names?
look at the Coke and Pepsi war, the second Pepsi, the second Cola war. It didn't matter how much money Pepsi threw;
Oh
they
yeah,
never gained any ground on Coke. It just, I think it was because they were around so long, and
yeah.
it became
So
just so
it
synonymous, and the cocaine that was involved in that.
yeah. Well, it's I mean,
'Cause-
but basically it's Coors and Miller trying to catch Bush, Anheuser Busch.
yeah, it's never going to happen.
Like,
By the way, that whole cocaine thing, Coke leaves were actually in Coca-Cola all the way up until the 80s.
holy shit!
Yeah, I didn't know that. Now, granted, it's the cocoa leaf. It's not
Right? Yeah,
cocaine.
it's not processed cocaine, but still, I
Like,
mean,
yeah,
come
all
on.
the way up to like the 80s.
Like there
It
still
was
have to
only
be
relatively
some
recently,
sort
like
of
in
addictive
our
property.
lifetime, we could have got Coca-Cola with cocaine leaves in it.
Man, if only.
If only we could have, remembered that. I guess. Well, if you could go find an old 1980s Coke can,
Don't drink it.
you could you could go have some fun with it. Like,
Just
I
don't.
guess.
just go to like your local dive bar and find somebody selling an 8 ball if that's what you want to do.
So the company was still on the lookout for any other new innovative ideas that might be able to give them a leg up. In 1952, there was the founder of Williamsburg Brooklyn Sanitarium, another sanitarium, Johnny. Whoa, I didn't know these things. Like before we did Kellogg's, I never heard of a sanatorium,
Oh
but
my
now I'm
god.
hearing about them. Every little bit of research I do, they are everywhere.
We need to do something on them because the stuff that went on them was bonkers. And
Yep.
what they did, like the experiment, everything they did was just
Absolute
crazy.
batshit crazy would never be able to get away with today. No.
Well, no, that's why they don't exist anymore, is because people started looking at it like, wait, you're doing what
We're doing
with
what?
these patients? You're hooking electricity just to see what happens? You can't do that.
Nope.
But they
Nope.
came to us. They're a little bit weird and crazy, and they have this thing where they like cleaning too much. So we zapped with a bunch of electricity. Now they don't want to clean at all.
It worked.
I mean,
But they also don't
yeah,
know their
sure,
name.
they're zombified and they can't think or do anything, but problem solved. What do you want
Problem
from
solved,
us?
right? Problem solved. So the founder, Hyman Kirsch, invented a sugar-free soda called NoCal, utilizing a sugar substitute known as cyclamate, which was 30 times sweeter than sugar without any of the calories. What could go wrong, right?
I mean, this is one of those things that are too good to be true. It's probably not.
Well, we'll get there, Johnny, because
Or were there
what
side
happens in the
effects?
U.S. and what happens worldwide are two totally different things.
And that's the case for a lot of things.
Yeah, exactly. So Kirsch marketed the soda as a diabetic-friendly soda, like an idiot, instead of just offering it as a soda to like anybody can have this. Enjoy this treat. It's delicious with no.
Yeah,
It's the zero soda. It has
yeah.
no calories, no
It's
nothing. It's great.
Coke Zero.
Yeah, they didn't advertise it like that. They just said it's diabetic-friendly soda. So, and anybody who has heart conditions. So it was a very popular treat in that sanitarium, but never gained any distribution outside of that specific sanitarium. However, H.R. Mott was like, whoa, you guys got something there. I can do something with this. While the rest of the industry is pumping shit tons of sugar down your throat,
Yeah,
I can do something with this.
yeah. We're solving that problem, right?
So he spends the next few months developing his own soda in secret, using cyclamate as its main ingredient. He starts to distribute it kind of in limited quantities and limited areas, and it gains
Yeah.
such success that previous grocery stores that weren't stocking RC Cola were chasing down RC Cola trucks, literally chasing them down, saying, "Hey, we want your new sugar-free soda. Put it on our shelves."
So this new ingredient that he found, how addictive is it?
I'm sure it's not addictive at all. Just like aspartame has no effect on appetite or anything else like that, Johnny.
Nope. No, it's perfectly healthy. Actually, since I started drinking Diet Coke, I've been in the best shape of my life. At some point during the time when I started drinking it, I was in the best shape of my life.
Johnny, you're not talking about specifically right now because you are not most
No,
definitely
no,
not in the
no.
best shape of your
But
life right now.
I was saying I've been drinking Diet Coke my whole life, and at some point while I was drinking it, I was in the best shape of my life, and I can only attribute that to Diet Coke.
Fair point. I drank a shit ton of Diet Coke as a kid, and I got a blood type cancer when I was 16. And turns out there might be a link between aspartame and blood type cancers, but
Well,
whatever.
shit. How about that? Well, I didn't get one, so I think that link is bunk because I'm a living example that that's not true.
Well, to be fair, it is kind of bump. But anyways, we'll get. Damn it, Johnny, we keep trying to run ahead.
I'm sorry I can predict so many things, but like I'm really good at putting pieces together. I guess.
Damn it, Johnny, I'm trying to go in an order, and you're just running. You're running away with it.
Well, that's what happens when you don't send me any notes. I mean, not that I looked at them anyway, but like I
didn't think you did look at them, so I thought
I just start projecting. I found it's more fun if I don't look at it.
Yeah, I thought it would be a surprise.
Yeah, I find it way more fun to just sit and learn and not have like little bullet points that I don't understand anyway because you don't give me any context.
Yeah, I don't do a whole lot of context with this stuff. Well, anyways, the FDA would approve cyclamate as a healthy, safe alternative to sugar in 1958.
Well, okay, here's the thing. FDA does not approve anything as healthy. FDA approves things as safe.
Okay, yeah, fine. So it is safe.
It will not kill you.
It is safe for human consumption. By 1962, RC Cola introduced the very first nationwide diet soda marketed as Diet Right.
Diet Right, the flavorless cola.
Which I'm going to take a sip out of the jug here because I'm going to stick with the RC Cola. But I'm going to take a sip out of it to see what it tastes like. But to be fair, this is not the original Diet Right. This does not contain cyclamate because something happens in the future.
I mean, kind of like Coca-Cola doesn't contain cocaine because...
It also doesn't contain sugar and...
Right.
Well, it contains corn syrup, which is a shit ton worse than sugar. I'm going to try that. Hold on a second. We'll get some ASMR in here.
All right.
It tastes like bubbles, dude.
Yeah, no, that's what I told you. It's like it's very bubbly and there's no flavor, and it's just a can of bubbles. How I had it anyway at Grandma and Grandpa's.
It doesn't taste like that weird diet after flavor, which is good, I guess, but it does not taste like anything.
No, it's just it's kind of like pop rock, like flavorless pop rocks on your tongue, but it doesn't. The popping sensation doesn't last as long as it's just carbonation or whatever. But yeah, that's kind of what it always reminded me of. Is it tasted like the static on your TV. Like
yeah,
looks like that. Like imagine that as a flavor.
That's what I always thought club soda tasted like, was just white noise static.
Yeah.
I'm messing up my my display here. There we go. So Diet Right is introduced, and lo and behold, man, it is the absolute most popular soda that has been introduced since Coca-Cola.
Hey,
like it is flying off the shelves. It is selling like none other. People are begging for it. People are screaming for it. It becomes the number 4 selling soda in the entire United States, next to RC Cola, Pepsi Cola, and Coca-Cola.
So they got two of the top 5.
2 of the top 5. You really can't.
I mean, that's the dream.
That. Yeah. Not only were Coca-Cola and Pepsi Cola taken by surprise by how popular this beverage became, they didn't think diet would sell. They looked at this as a niche thing for sanitariums. They didn't even have anything in the pipeline to compete with Diet Right. They had nothing.
So if you look at historical ads and things like that from the 50s, 60s, 70s, there was a time in advertisements when, and I guess in American culture, when being thin and being skinny was frowned upon, and there were all these ads about how women could put on a little bit of weight and get a little bit curvier and get a little bit thicker and do all this stuff, and like, oh, no man wants this skinny version of, this skin and bone version of whatever. And so that's probably why Pepsi and Coke were like, nobody's going to want that. We want to, we're trying to get rid of this, skin and bone type look and why would people want to lose weight when we're trying to get everybody to gain weight?
Right? But this is also the time where things started to change because we've been drinking sugar-filled crap and sugar over processed stuff for the last 50 years, and people have started to put on a little bit of weight by the 1950s and 1960s, that people start becoming a little bit more health conscious.
Yeah, well, and fast food became a thing, McDonald's and that type of stuff. And so, yeah, we started to...
All the Madman advertising. This is also the time when, women were also viewed as sex icons, although they still kind of are. But, like, go watch the show Mad Men. It's really bad, and that's what it was like, and that's the time that we're in. So women started becoming more and more health conscious. Like, maybe I do want to not be morbidly obese, and this is a beverage that allows me to drink as much as I want without any kind of who gives a shit. There's no calories.
I mean, how else are they going to find a big, strong man to take care of them if not looking their best,
Right? So it took, like, the first year and a half of this industry. Diet Right owned 100% of the diet soda industry. So there was no competitor for a year and a half.
Oh man,
Coke was the first one to, Coke was the first one to come onto the scene, and they introduced Tab, T-A-B, Tab, and it is awful. Oh my God, is that soda disgusting?
There's not a worse soda. I really don't think there is. Tab is trash.
I tried it once because I heard about people from the 80s, Tab from the 80s, so they reintroduced it, and I tried it. Garbage.
It is straight
just
trash.
Pure garbage.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, it doesn't have cyclamate in it now, so maybe it tasted a little bit different, but whatever it is now is pure, absolute unadulterated garbage. Pepsi also followed up with a diet drink about a year and a half later, known as Patio Cola. And it was introduced solely as a drink for women, and it had such an awful name, and it's a stupid fucking name that Coke or Pepsi changed it pretty quickly to Diet Pepsi, because who cares?
Yeah.
Who's going to buy patio soda?
It's like when Bic tried marketing pens for women.
Yeah,
you remember that?
Yeah.
Why? It's just your regular pen. You just made it pink packaging.
Pink. Yeah, it's pink, Johnny. Don't you know pink sells?
That's all women want.
But
there were all these business women thinking, man, I really, really like all of the work that I do, but writing with this man's pen is just too much for me. I really wish they had a more effeminate pen. And
maybe one that's colored in pink.
Yeah, they filled that gap and then got ridiculed incessantly for a year, and then they stopped.
So the diet soda wars, Johnny, they've begun, and it is RC Cola on top with Diet Right, and it's not even close. I mean, it is not even remotely close.
They had a year and a half head start, and then they come at him with Tab
and Patio Cola
and some awful, I feel like even for the time that was a little pandering,
right. But to be fair, both of these other sodas did have cyclamate as well. So I need to make that clear. All these diet sodas use cyclamate.
So, well, apparently that was the go-to ingredient.
That was the only sugar alternative at the time. Yeah.
Right.
And I wonder how it actually, I got to go to Europe because I wonder how it actually tastes, because supposedly Diet Right, when it came out, tasted very, very similar to RC Cola.
Oh, all right.
So kind of like Coke Zero supposed to taste like Coca-Cola.
Like regular Coke, yeah.
It doesn't.
No. Well, the reason I drink Diet Coke isn't because I'm health conscious. I like the flavor better. And Coke's just too sweet for me. And so
good for you. I can't get onto the Diet Coke. I drank it a lot as a kid because that's what my parents had, but it's a weird, that aspartame leaves a weird texture.
Oh yeah, no, it's an acquired taste, and you have to get it into your bones deeply so that when you
get addicted,
actually end up just needing it. and that's kind of where I'm at. But I think it's healthy. It's diet. It has diet in the name, so I think we're good.
Well, Coca-Cola and Pepsi were now starting to get a little bit concerned, along with the sugar industry, of this new craze for diet, because Diet Right took up 10% of the profit. I mean, 10% of the entire soda market was Diet Right.
That's wild for us for
for
one
one soda.
specific
Was
drink.
10%. Now, granted, this is also a time when like your options were Pepsi, Coke, Royal Crown, Diet Right. Like there wasn't a lot of other options out there.
Right, but there's mom and pop stuff too. There's still soda shops. There's still all that sort of thing. So it's
You
not.
still have Ale 8 from Kentucky, or
Yeah,
your
I'm guessing
Royal
there's.
Crown
I'm
Ginger
guessing there's,
Ale and all that stuff.
and I'm guessing all your. There's kind of like there are microbreweries. There's kind of local, regional type. Soda factories and everything else. And so,
Jones Soda from Canada.
there you go, Joan. Yeah,
Which,
stuff like
by
that.
the way, Jones, not sponsored, but that's a good soda.
Yeah,
Some of
I
them.
guess it's just so. Sometimes I think I'd be happier in a communist country because I'd have fewer options. And like Jones Soda makes me think that a lot.
Damn
like,
it, Johnny.
This
is America, and we whiskey rebellion, Johnny.
Yeah,
we
I don't know.
want no taxes.
I don't know. Sometimes just tell me what I want to drink. I don't need 42 or whatever different flavors of soda in a little refrigerator to choose from. Like 2 or 3.
Fair enough. But getting back to on point, obviously Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and the sugar industry specifically was like, whoa, hold up with your diet shit. We don't want no healthy crap. We're going to start doing some research to prove that maybe cyclamate isn't the most healthiest thing in the world. Maybe there's some adverse health effects, right? We got to.
And nobody thought to do that with sugar.
Yeah, if we got to, no, we don't want to do that with sugar. We don't want to do any studies to sugar, but we definitely want to do studies to sugar alternatives.
That's right, yeah. Because sugar is a natural thing. It occurs naturally in nature. Plants need sugar to live. How can it be bad?
Now, I want to get this straight, Johnny. I am not saying that Coke had any part in what's about to happen. I'm not saying Coke put any money into anything that's about to happen. I'm not saying that they had any hand in what's about to happen. I'm not saying anything other than maybe they did.
Kind of starting to sound like you might be in bed with Coca-Cola here.
No, I'm saying I'm making sure I'm not going to get sued by Coca-Cola is what I'm so about ready to say.
I think they might have gotten to you.
So the sugar industry, I'm going to blame the sugar industry.
The sugar industry,
which has nothing to do with Coca-Cola.
Let's go ahead and just use the word slander so that Coca-Cola can find this easier.
Coca-Cola slander?
Yeah, Coca-Cola slander. Go ahead and tag that YouTube. Let's see what we got.
Tag that YouTubers. But a study that was done in 2019 found that Coca-Cola would manipulate many researches into health studies, specifically health studies regarding sugar and that kind of stuff, and would manipulate them to benefit Coca-Cola. So, specifically, there was a research that was done to discover, like, hey, we talked about obesity at the beginning of it, right? What could possibly be the cause of obesity in the United States? Could it be the mass amounts of sugar that we're pumping into everybody? No, Johnny, it can't be. Do you know what the health organizations did in the early 2000s? They claimed that it was lack of proper exercise that was the responsibility. The sole responsibility of the obesity epidemic was lack of exercise.
I mean,
not diet.
That's totally fair, because if you exercise 3 to 4 hours a day every day, you can eat and drink whatever you want and you'll be fine.
You can't. Like, I just exercised for 45 minutes with my wife because we're going to Mexico and she thinks that we need to have beach bodies.
3 or 4.
Why? Because I love her no matter what. She supposedly loves me no matter what. So why are we trying to look good?
Well, she just doesn't want to be embarrassed with your pasty dad bod walking down the beach.
Is that what it is?
Which, by the way, I thought dad bods were in. Like, wasn't that a thing?
Yeah, I thought dad bods were in
like
too.
People like that. Like, they were into it. Like, a little bit of a gut.
Yeah, dad bods and some hair and some extra hair. Like
skin a little patchy here and there.
Everybody, whatever. You know what? Whatever.
All right, can we get back to this 2019?
Yeah. So, anyways, but I'm saying that Coke has had a history of potentially manipulating studies.
Yeah, and they got away with it for what, 60 years? 50
they still
years?
get away. They still get away with it, Johnny.
Well, yeah, but they didn't even look into it till 2019. They're like, oh, well, maybe back in the 80s or whatever, they were saying things were bad and manipulating things that they shouldn't have been.
But in any case, Big Sugar I'm winking. If you're not watching us on YouTube, there's definitely winks going on.
Yeah, Big
Uh,
Sugar.
Big Sugar started funding studies in the 1960s about the effects of cyclamate on the human body. In 1964, a study was released that said that cyclamate may be linked to cancer in animals and may be possibly linked to other birth defects in humans. But they weren't specific in any kind of issues or health concerns. They just left it very general. Said, look, this might be a problem.
Yeah, no, I that's my favorite type is the might bees. Because all
Hey,
it
Johnny.
takes is the tiniest bit of correlation, which you took plenty of stats course, you know,
Yeah.
it's so easy to find correlation with the most ridiculous.
Well, no, it's yeah. Well, correlation, yes, you can find correlation in
Right.
anything.
And then you
Causation is a
draw
completely different story.
well, right, but then you just nobody cares to look it up, so you just say, well, look how strongly these two things are correlated. That must be the cause of it. It's like shoe size and intelligence with K through 12 students. Like, if you got
Or ice
big
cream and
feet,
murders.
you're gonna be smarter. It's like, well, no, it's because the
You're
people with
older.
big feet are seniors and juniors and sophomores in high school and not first graders. But people do that shit all the time. So, like, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, yeah. But in 1964, I mean, I'm sorry, Royal Crown with its 1964 study decided that, hey, look, listen, this is bullshit. It's nothing more than derogatory falsehoods in order to try to disparage cyclamate. It's used in everything. The FDA said it's healthy. It's healthy. It's fine. This study's clearly a false study that's done by the sugar industry. They can't even point to any specific issues that it might cause. They just said, well, it might be linked to something else.
Could be bad. Guys, do we even really know if it could be bad?
But it
It
could
was
be.
like, well, yeah, we know it's fine. Like, the FDA tested, like, well, do we really know? I mean, really? If you really think about it, it could be the reason that your neighbor's house caught on fire. I don't know. Maybe it's spontaneously combusted.
You on it, Johnny, there. It very much could be. It very much could be. In 1969, because the sugar industry didn't get away with the 1964 study, they did a new study that was released, and it showed that chicken eggs injected with cyclamate would cause chickens to have birth defects. Well, no fucking shit. If you inject any random chemical into a chicken egg, I'm sure it's not good for that baby chicken, no
I
matter
mean,
what the hell it is.
so this is literally no different than the anti-vaccine crowd that say, "Hey, there's mercury in vaccines, and if you just inject mercury into yourself, you're gonna die." So maybe the mercury is the problem, when in reality, it's trace amounts of mercury, and it doesn't matter.
All right. They also did another study on rats, and they gave them a crap ton of cyclamate and discovered that if you give rats a crap ton of cyclamate, they develop bladder tumors. Now, what they didn't say in this
How
study is
much?
that what they didn't say in this study is that in order for the human to have the same amount of cyclamate that they gave rats
Yeah,
or the chicken eggs,
right.
the human would have to ingest 500 diet rights a day, Johnny, in order to get that amount of cyclamate in their body. So do you think the study may have been manipulated just a scotch?
It's so funny how quantity of things matters so much, and people really don't consider that at all. Like, for example, there was a local radio station that did a contest where they had people see who
Chugging
could
water?
drink yeah, see you could drink a gallon of water the fastest, and then somebody died, and it turns out, yeah, if you do that, it kind of throws out the salination in your body, and yeah, you will
You
die
can you can
of
die of water.
poison.
You can
Yeah,
get intoxicated off of water if you
a
drink
water
enough of it.
poison. Yeah, it's water poisoning. And yeah, nobody considers that. Like, yes, everything's bad. Literally everything has a lethal dosage in it.
Somewhere in it. Yeah,
It's just, how high is that dosage?
very much so. So but Johnny, they didn't say that, and people are, well, people
Idiots.
are, like they said in the what was it, the Men in Black, people are kind of stupid. A
Yeah,
person smart,
a
people are
person
stupid.
is smart. Yeah, they're yeah, crazy something driven animals or something. I can't
Yep, something like that. Whatever.
watch the movie. It's
Shout out to what's his name?
Will Smith,
Well, that's the one. What's the other guy's
Tommy
name?
Lee
too?
Jones.
There we go. You got them both. Shout out to those guys.
Look at that.
I've been drinking a bit much.
I can't like that's the first time I've ever been able to come up with like 2 consecutive celebrity names.
I realize how much of an alcoholic I am because that's half a bottle of rum gone.
All right. Well, let's push through the rest of this episode before that really starts kicking in.
Before it really starts kicking in, yeah, because that's a half a bottle of fucking rum. Don't let me touch that rum bottle again, Johnny.
I can't control you. I'm miles away.
Well, nevertheless, Johnny, this study became a sensation, and people became panicking. And overnight, anything that had cyclamate in it fell to almost about zero in sales.
Yeah.
So everybody was like, get rid of that crap. So Tab fell to nothing. Patio fell to nothing, which who gives a shit for Coca Pepsi? It wasn't a big seller anyways.
Yeah.
But specifically Diet Right fell to about nothing, which was huge for Royal Crown because that was really their flagship at this point.
Oh yeah, that's literally what Coke and Pepsi wanted was we don't care if we have to shoot our own child because it's going to kill your entire family.
It did,
making billions of dollars.
And there is a legal loophole in the FDA world called the Delaney Clause, which says that any additive in food that can be found to induce cancer in humans or animals must be banned. So cyclamate was banned in the U.S. after this study, even though the rest of the world actually still uses it, specifically Europe, Australia, all those, the European Union still uses cyclamate as a sugar-free alternative because they've not found it to cause any health issues.
Yeah, because they would have said, okay, we'll go ahead and do a study on this, but let's do it with reasonable amounts that people might actually consume and see if it's any danger. No? Okay.
Well, there it is, Johnny. It was found that the sugar industry, again, wink, wink, I'm giving you winks, Johnny, produced more than $600,000 into this one specific study for the chicken egg thing and the rat thing, or equivalent to $4.2 million today, which isn't necessarily a shit ton of money. But the thing that you have to understand at home is that most of these health studies are have to be funded from somebody. The government itself doesn't fund any of these studies.
Nope.
So they have to come from somewhere. So if you ever are at home reading a YouTube article or listening to a YouTube article, watching a YouTube article, reading any kind of articles on the webs, understand that anything that's health related was funded by somebody that wasn't the government. So it's somebody that may or may not have a hand in what they want that study to show.
Right. Well, and here's the thing, as a person with a science background, studies are very, very easy to set up in such a way that you are benefited or you look good or you only look at the exact thing you want to and not all these other different things.
Like injecting a chicken egg with half cyclamate?
Yeah, like you can literally, you just set up a study, and it's like nowadays, hopefully, it's not going to get approved, and the FDA is going to look at it and be like, why did you do the study this way? But like I've always said on this podcast, being a criminal or being awful or terrible in the past is a lot easier than it would be today.
Yeah,
because people are looking at it closely. The scientific knowledge and everything isn't as good, so people were just looking to be like, did you follow these guidelines? Yes. We don't care if you didn't do like a double-blind study or whatever. Like, we don't care if you didn't use any sort of placebo. We don't care if you were
with the same amount of water.
Yeah, we don't care if you were injecting with literal lethal doses of this thing. Like, it doesn't matter. But now it does, hopefully.
Or hopefully now it does.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of money passed back and forth.
There sure as shit is. By the 1970s, Johnny, the Diet Coke war, it's over. Because there is no Diet Coke war. Because diet sodas are gone. It's not legal to use cyclamate. So Diet Right's now not legal to sell. Tab's not legal to sell. Patio or Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi is not legal to sell.
So is it straight from cyclamate to then aspartame is the next best alternative?
Well, here's what it is. So RC Cola attempts to alter the Diet Right formula and uses an artificial sweetener known as saccharine.
That sounds pretty similar to cyclamate. I mean, if I'm a normal fucking idiot, I'm gonna be like, that's probably just as dangerous as that other thing that sounds just like
Well,
it.
problem with saccharine is that it makes everything have kind of a metal tinge to it with the flavor. So when you drink Diet Right, it tastes a little bit like metal.
Yeah, a little tinny.
And Coca-Cola and Pepsi wisely kind of sat back and they just ditched Tab and Patio because they weren't really selling that great anyways.
Because they didn't want a diet. They didn't want diet sodas.
No, they didn't. And they
So
just
we want to
watched
kill this thing.
what Royal Crown was doing. And when Royal Crown came out with, saccharine, and it tasted like metal and it wasn't the same, and it didn't, do well in sales, they said, ha, suckers. And that's when
We told you nobody wanted Diet Coke.
Well, that's
or
when they
diet soda.
introduced aspartame.
Okay, so yeah, it was the next best alternative.
That was the next best alternative.
Yeah.
Sure
and
was, Johnny.
Probably paid to quiet all the studies that were done on aspartame that that people were like, maybe it'll kill you, and they're like, no, we're gonna pretend it doesn't.
Because, Johnny, I can tell you right now that there are just as many studies on aspartame about links to cancer as there was in regards to cyclamate.
Yep.
But it's the same scenario. It's a ass ton of aspartame being injected into rats or chicken eggs.
Yeah.
Just like it was cyclamate. So, like, really, for the human to gain any kind of effect, you're going to have to drink an ass ton of Diet Coke.
Like at least 44 or 88 ounces a day.
Yeah, which is what I drank.
Which is insane. Like, who would ever drink that much?
I only drank Diet Coke as a kid.
Me too. I drank Diet Coke as a kid. I still do, but I used to too.
But this is it, and RC Cola's hold on that whole diet reign has gone. So now they're relying on the whole RC Cola, which isn't great. So at the absolute height, RC Cola only ever had 10% of the share of sodas, which isn't great, but it also isn't bad. I mean, that's all sodas.
Okay, well, think about it this way. So the brewery industry has less than 2% of the entire beer sales in the country.
Yeah, so they had
and we're in a situation where breweries are popping up everywhere and everybody's drinking microbrews and everything else, and like that's supposed to be like this huge thing. They're at 2%.
Your dad had a
Anheuser-Busch and Coors and Miller are saying we got to shut that shit down.
Yeah. So 10% wasn't nothing to necessarily sneeze at.
Man, this has to be one of the best investments ever, though, for Coke to run that study. Because they invested, the equivalent of modern-day $4.2 million, and now they're a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah, they did okay on this one.
Like, return on investment, pretty darn good for selling your soul.
They did okay. Then starts the whole second Cola Wars, which we're going to do an episode on in itself because it's hilarious, because there was literally in the second Cola Wars a race to see which cola could get into space first. So the fact that they tried to see which Coke or Pepsi could get into space first, that's hilarious. We're going to do an episode on that in and of itself.
Well, but RC Cola kind of sat air fire thing.
Yeah, RC Cola kind of sat out the whole second Cola War because they did a bunch of weird responses after the whole Diet Right thing fell to the wayside. First off, they started buying things that weren't soda companies, like 7 home furnishing manufacturing companies.
So they're just freaking out, grasping at straws at this point.
I guess. By the mid-1970s, when Pepsi and Coke were fighting for ad time, RC Cola had a quarter of its business in manufacturing lamps, mirrors, tables, home furnishing junk.
Yeah, and that sounds odd. But I feel like if you went ahead and looked at who Coke owns now, like I know back then maybe it was really weird, but I'm going to guess that the Coca-Cola industry as a whole
probably owns a little bit more than soda.
So many things that you just have no idea about, and they have nothing to do with cola or anything else. Because really, the country or the entire world's run by like 5 companies or something like that. You can track everybody else.
Yeah, something like that. And Coke's got to be one of them because damn, they're huge.
Yeah, I think they are. I don't know, but anyway.
But in any case, look into it. Whatever. That'll probably be in part of the whole second Coke.
We'll get
war,
to that.
soda war thing. I keep saying Coke. See, Coke's got me by the balls. They own me because they know that I attribute every bubbly soda caffeinated thing with Coke, and I do.
Yeah, there are only a few industries where companies have been able to do that. Kleenex is the other one. Like, you don't always buy Kleenex brand tissues.
But every time you buy tissues, it's Kleenex.
Yep. Anytime you buy one, anytime you ask for one, anything else, you're asking for a Kleenex. People go to restaurants and they ask for Cokes.
You
and I
never
know
hear
there's the
people
whole
going to restaurants asking for
thing.
just Pepsi.
Nobody's saying, man.
Not as a universal, like, I just want a Coke. Like, I don't care what it is between Coke or Pepsi, because I really don't. Like, that's the thing. Is, like, I really don't care.
Soda.
When I go to the grocery store, when I drink soda, when I go to the grocery store, it's which one's on sale.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to some shady shit that Coke and Pepsi wind up doing, too, here in a second.
They do shady shit?
They do shady shit. Yes, they do. Yeah, they do. By 1976, RC Cola winds up buying Arby's, which actually at the initial outset seems like a good idea because you bought a fast food chain. Now your sodas are only exclusively sold in those fast food chain. It seems like a good idea, right?
So maybe don't latch on to like the number 3 fast food chain. Like, are they just obsessed with being third place?
I guess. But the problem is when they bought Arby's, they thought that it would be a good idea to introduce hamburgers to the Arby's chain. You remember that back in the late 80s, early 90s when hamburgers were part of Arby's? They were very briefly because nobody wanted that garbage. If I wanted a hamburger, I went to Burger King or I went to McDonald's.
Yeah, you don't go to
Arby's. If I wanted some other meat sandwich, like a roast beef sandwich, I went to Arby's or Rax, which I guess maybe that's only an Ohio thing. Have you ever heard of Rax? They were delicious, Johnny. They're like Arby's, but generic.
Okay. Yeah.
They don't exist anymore. There's like one.
Probably because RC Cola never was exclusive with them.
Probably. So they kind of botched that whole Arby's thing. By 1984, the company actually dropped cola off the end of their name because most of their shit was in things that weren't soda related.
Right.
So they just said Royal Crown Company.
Okay.
By 1985, the cola wars were in full swing. RC was just kind of sitting on the sideline. They didn't really do any major ad revenue. They didn't participate in the wars. They just like, look, we're third place. We don't care.
I mean,
do what you're gonna do.
It's like it's like a person from the crowd going into a MMA fight and be like, all right, guys, let's do this. Like, you're going to get your ass kicked if you try, so why bother going in there?
And they didn't. And basically, RC Cola from 1985 to today is basically what it is now, which is just the thing your grandma has in the basement.
Yeah.
Your Southern grandma. Like, nobody outside of the South really drinks. Johnny, I had to go to 4 different stores. I went to Kroger. I went to Speedway. I went to Walmart. I went to Walgreens in order to get RC Cola, Diet Right, and Moon Pies. I had to go everywhere around my town to find all these ingredients because I live in the North, and apparently Yankees don't like this shit, and I kind of understand why.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of garbage. It's just sugar garbage.
It is really. I feel bad for drinking this much RC Cola.
Oh, you feel bad now? Wait until you die in 3 months. You're gonna really feel bad then.
I feel like I need more rum and RC Cola though.
Hey, see if it spices up the Diet Right at all, maybe.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna do that. Here we go. You said it, Johnny.
Oh wait, I was
supposed Diet Right
away from that bottle. Oh shucks, what have I done?
You got me drunker than I already am, Johnny. So there's some Diet Right.
It's all on me.
It is all on you. And when Trish gets mad at me later, my wife, because I'm drunk and I'm an asshole. I'm not an asshole when I'm drunk. I'm happy and fun, and I don't know why she doesn't like me drunk. Drunk Tommy's great. Ooh, that was probably too much.
No, well, you just need more Diet Right now. You're fine. You'll get it.
Whatever. We'll see if that spices up. Hold on a second.
So RC Cola just kind of took the place that they're in now, and they finally accepted that bronze medal.
Well, they're not even the bronze medal anymore, Johnny,
Okay.
but we'll get there.
So Pepsi
In
and Coke,
2000,
who else is there?
In 2000, Royal Crown was actually bought by Cadbury Schweppes. You know, the guys who make Cadbury eggs.
Of
They
the
also
cream
apparently own
of
Dr.
the cream
Pepper.
egg ilk, yeah. They
Yeah,
make
yeah.
what
They
else?
also own Dr. Pepper, which
What?
is weird. Yeah, I thought Dr. Pepper was kind of an independent company, but no, they're owned by Cadbury.
Well, see, this is what I was going back to, this whole 5 companies thing, because Cadbury is
everything.
owned by like Johnson and Johnson or some bullshit.
Yep, they sure are. They moved the Royal Crown underneath the Dr. Pepper Snapple because Cadbury owns Snapple too.
Like the little reading thing under the lid tells you.
Yeah, Snapple, the tea thing.
Okay, yeah.
Which I never got into because I don't like tea because I'm an American and we don't like tea.
Is that still a company? Do they still make Snapple? Can you find Snapple anywhere?
Yeah, you can buy. I think you can go to Walmart and buy Snapple.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
I've
have
not
not
gone to
seen.
Walmart and bought Snapple anytime soon. But
I haven't seen that for ages. I mean, they had a bunch of different flavors, and I don't know. Their little sayings were fine, I guess. But
yeah, like when you open the bottle, it was funny. But I guess that's about all you can get.
yeah.
Anyways, today they are still a part of the Dr. Pepper group. Where outside of the South, nobody really drinks RC Cola. Hence why I had to go to 5 stores to find RC Cola and fucking moon pies because nobody drinks that shit.
Because it's all garbage, Tom. That's why.
Diet Right was hard to find. I admit the Diet Right was hard to find. Moon pie, Walgreens. That's the only place I could find moon pie. I went to Walmart. I went to Kroger. I went to Speedway. I went to Circle K.
Right. Did you check the expiration date on that Diet Right? Because there's a pretty good chance that Diet Right was made in like 1987.
Probably. By the way, the Diet Right contains. Let me read the whole thing here. It contains potassium, benzoate, acetylphenylene, potassium, natural flavors, acai gum, potassium. I don't know what the hell the artificial sugar is. It's not got aspartame or anything like that in it.
No, it's probably one of those other things that you butchered the name of.
Whatever. Johnny, leave me alone. I'm not a scientist. You're the scientist. I'm not the scientist.
I'm
the historian. Leave me alone.
I don't have the label in front of me, or I'd help you with that.
So outside of the South, you can't really find it, except if you're in Chicago, because if you're in Chicago, the Chicago Bears, of all places, RC Cola has the exclusive rights to Chicago Bears. So it's bad enough that you're a Bears fan, but if you go to the Soldiers Field Stadium,
that's what you have to drink.
You get RC Cola. Today, RC Cola is basically non-existent. I looked up the top 10 sodas in the United States, per sales per year.
Okay.
Coke is number 1 still.
Yeah.
I think Pepsi is still number 2, followed by like Dr. Pepper and all Cherry Coke and all the other garbage, random Mountain Dews and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know what's not on the top 10 list?
In there. RC Cola is not top 10?
RC Cola, Diet Right. They're not in the top 10. They're not on the list at all. They're not even anywhere near the list.
Okay. Do you have the top 10 list in front of you or no?
No, I don't have it in front of me. No, but I know
I was going to guess. I was going to go A&W. I was going to go Barks because I think there's 2 root beers there. I was going to go Coke.
A&W is in the top 10, but I don't think Barks is.
Man, that's too bad.
Weird because they have caffeine.
It was like the only root beer you could get with caffeine was Barks root beer. Man, it's good.
Yeah.
If I'm drinking root beer, that's the one I'm going for.
I'm drinking Barks because it's got that little bite. Barks has a bite.
Yeah, I'm guessing Sprite, Mountain Dew, Dr. Pepper, Coke, Diet Coke, Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, Cherry Coke, maybe. Fanta? Maybe Fanta? Was that in there anywhere?
I think Mountain Dew. So I know Coke made the list. I know Pepsi made the list.
Internationally,
I know Diet Coke and Diet Pepsi made the list. I know Dr. Pepper made the list. Mountain Dew made the list. I think, you know what? I think Fanta might have made the list.
I feel like at least if it's a global list, then I would almost guarantee that Fanta would be on there somewhere because it's huge everywhere I've been, everywhere else I've been in the world, especially South America.
Do you know why Fanta came about?
Because you
Random
want
fact
a
for her:
Fanta?
if you've
Don't
listened
you
for the
wanna?
last hour, do you want to know why Fanta came about?
Because of the good
Because
tunes.
Coca-Cola Company was a global company.
Yeah.
They were obviously a company that had a factory in Germany.
Yeah.
But Germany was no longer allowed to license Coca-Cola once the whole World War II thing started, because like Hitler was weird and evil, and the Americans were like, "Yeah, we don't like you." Well, let me
Huh?
rephrase that. Some Americans were like, "Yeah, we don't like you." Specifically, Coke was like, "Nope."
Tommy, are you telling me that Fanta's a German company?
So what happened is during World War II, Fanta was created. Germany, Coca-Cola could no longer get Coca-Cola syrup from the United States, so they had to
Right.
create something in their bottling company. So they created Fanta, which was basically like an apple orchard like fruit soda,
Yeah.
and that's what they created. And once
Wow.
the United States took over Germany, and wound up taking over German Coca-Cola, they're like, "Hey, look, your Fanta shit is pretty good. We'll go ahead and market that worldwide." The first Cola Wars. Stay tuned. There will eventually be a second Cola Wars sometime in the future where we talk about Michael Jackson and his hee hee.
All the advertisements.
I love Pepsi.
There's hair on fire. There's all sorts of interesting stuff with that, and I haven't even
Remember
seen it.
episode 1 from Star Wars when like Pepsi bought that fucking rights and they had all the like episode 1 cans? I
Well,
used to collect those as a kid. Guess who wound up not keeping those as an adult?
yeah. So my very first experience that I remember of product placement was my disbelief during the movie Twister when every single can that they collected to put on their little robots that were going to fly up into the tornado were Pepsi cans.
God, you know what? Yeah,
Every
you're
one of
right.
them.
You know what I have on Laserdisc, Johnny? With the original receipt for 34 some odd dollars?
You didn't pay.
Twister.
You didn't pay $35 for Twister, right? Like,
No, I didn't. I paid like
okay,
$3 for it
okay.
because I bought it from Half Price Books. But it had the original receipt in it, which was like 34 some odd dollars.
Oh my god, can you imagine being that sucker?
That paid 34 some odd dollars for
Oh,
Twister and
for
Laserdisc.
Twister. Well, I mean, just for Twister in general, but then on Laserdisc too.
Johnny,
Woof.
just shut your mouth. Laserdisc is the best thing that was. You know what? We're doing that on a YouTube channel that will eventually be coming out. So stay tuned for all that, people at home. Called Historitech, that will come out, and we'll talk about all the first the first format wars
All
from
the
the video
things you
format.
didn't care about when they came out and you care less about now.